I want to be a doctor.
I also want to become a doctor.
Zainab and Jalal have great plans for their future, but their school system in Pakistan is failing them.
It's hot when we come to school. Sometimes we collapse. I wish I could study in a proper building.
They are Pashtuns, an ethnic group that feels abandoned by their government.
Political leaders don't see us as human.
Amid poverty, terrorist attacks and traditions that sometimes oppose secular education, we meet kids who do everything possible to attend school. And we meet people making a change.
Where we have education, it will bring peace.
It's just before sunrise. Mohammed Fatah wakes his 5 sons.
Jalal, hurry up, get up.
They need to get ready for school.
Shaba, hurry up.
They live in the mountainous area of western Pakistan and are Pashtuns. They are the second biggest ethnic group in the country. Before heading to school, a last check.
And you don't start a fight with others, okay?
Okay.
Broken shoes?
No.
Mohammed really wants his children to get a good education, and his older son Jalal dreams big.
What do you want to be one day?
A doctor.
Really? Which type of doctor?
I will give medicines.
I see. And you want to help the community?
Yes. There's no doctor in our area. If there was a doctor, we wouldn't suffer. I want to be a doctor so I can open a clinic. When poor people come, I won't charge them a fee.
We are in the village of Tar Samanda. Here, where the kids live, people are scattered. That means Jalal's next neighbor, village or school is far away. To get to their school, Jalal, his brothers and friends must walk on a rocky and uphill path. All the kids from the neighborhood walk together. Their parents feel that it's safer like this.
It takes around 2.5 hours to reach school and another 2.5 hours to get back home. Sometimes our school slates break along the way, books get damaged, or ink spills on them.
In summer, it gets up to 40 degrees Celsius. In winter, there can be snow. The kids keep the long way short by reciting poems.
Flowers on earth, stars in the sky. He is the Lord of the entire universe. All are reflections of His power and might.
These kids make it to school anyway, each and every day. But school is not what we imagined it to be.
Which symbol is this?
Plus symbol.
Correct. Now solve the question. What's the result?
It's plus.
Solve it.
47.
The
75.
Education in a tent is challenging in many ways. The kids and the teacher here speak Pashtu, the Pashtun language, but there are only books available in Urdu and English, the national languages of Pakistan. Up to 5 grades are taught at the same time by one teacher. Jalal and his little brother Atta are taught together.
When the teacher tries to teach us, the noise from students makes it hard for us to hear, and we even forget what we've learned, as the students are reading out loud. We have 5 subjects. There are so many books. We study mathematics, Urdu, and Islamic studies. These are the problems we have, and it's hot in the tent.
Children often rock their bodies back and forth while reading aloud. This technique is common in this region to help memorize subjects. But it means it's definitely loud, busy and hot in the tent, and there is no running water or toilet. The tent school should have been temporary for these Pashtun kids, but it's been here for more than 30 years, they tell us.
The school was approved in the early 90s, and from then until today, the building has still not been built. To manage everything and teach in the tent is very difficult.
The villagers tried to build a school on their own next to the tent, but they say after heavy rains, it's in danger of collapsing and is not usable.
Did you get a lot of homework?
A lot.
How much?
Around 13 or 14 pages.
13 or 14?
Yes.
How many to memorize?
3.
When we get home, should we play or do our homework?
Do our homework.
After another long walk, they are finally home. The kids' uncle is here for a visit. Their main topic, the impression of not being prioritized by the authorities who are far away in the bigger cities.
The political leaders of the area don't see us as human. During elections, they come here and say, "You're my relative, and I'll do everything for you." But once the voting day is over, they disappear. Tell me, why have almost 40 years passed, and the school building still hasn't been built?
They have seen it.
They do not consider us human. They think we do not belong here.
Mohammed Fatah really wants a change for his children.
It is my wish that my children receive an education, progress in their lives, and work for the betterment of society and the village, serving others. They may become doctors or teachers or join the army or even go abroad.
Why do people here feel unseen by the government? Let's take one step back. Once there was a big Pashtun territory spreading mainly across what was back then the Emirate of Afghanistan and the British Indian Empire. British colonial forces divided this territory at the end of the 19th century to secure their outer borders. A few decades later, Pakistan became independent, but the colonial border persists until today, separating Pashtuns.
They divided the region into pieces.
This is Dr. Fazl Rahim Marvat, a researcher. One of his fields of expertise, the history of Pakistan.
The region was kind of interconnected, geographically, ethnically, religiously, and by blood. Now, look at this new structure. In Afghanistan, they lost their land and freedom, while on the Pakistani side, they were treated as subjects, not as citizens.
This has implications even today. Remote Pashtun villages receive less government attention, critics say. One result of this, in Pashtun provinces, more people are illiterate than in other parts of the country. Another Pashtun reality, as a result of the long war in Afghanistan, millions fled from there to Pakistan during the past decades, and the number increased after the Taliban took over. Many of them are Pashtun. The refugees, for example in the city of Peshawar, often have limited access to basic goods like food, clean water or education. One of them is 7-year-old Zainab. 3 years ago, she and her family had to leave their home in Afghanistan when the Taliban took over. Zainab has 2 sisters and a disabled mother, she tells us. She wants to make life better for her family.
I will earn money for my sisters and will take care of my mother's medical expenses.
Her father works as a rickshaw driver.
I came here from Afghanistan. I have 3 daughters. I have a refugee card, but it's not easy to get admission to schools with it.
Zainab contributes by selling boiled potatoes for 4 hours daily. She is one of many children in the country who work. At least every 3rd child is out of school, one of the highest numbers worldwide. For Zainab, it's different though. Zainab goes to a charity-run community school, but these are very rare. Only a tiny fraction of all schools in Pakistan are foundation-based, like this one.
I love studying, but 2 things challenge me: exams and the distance between my home and school. I wish my school were closer to home, so I could attend comfortably, as I truly enjoy learning.
Rana School is trying to make a change, not only for refugees, but for all disadvantaged kids. Zainab's dad supports her wish to study, but other parents don't.
They want to turn these children into assets that generate income. They send them out to work, sometimes as domestic help. At times, they hand them stuff to work outdoors. They say that we are destroying their source of income. Convincing their parents is the biggest challenge.
Financial support is a huge factor when it comes to getting children into school.
Here's what we offer: a glass of milk and snack, lunch, and 50 rupees daily allowance. We also provide medical coverage for the child, additional medical expenses for Afghan children. We even cover grandparents' and parents' medical expenses. And also we give them monthly food packages.
According to the founder, the school is mostly financed by donations from Pakistani citizens, and teachers work voluntarily. Charity schools like this one can help some kids, but the government has been leaving education on the sidelines. Pakistan spends less than 2% of its gross domestic product on education. That's half of the international minimal norm. Some of this money gets lost in corruption. Pakistan's education system suffers under so-called ghost schools. In these, staff are being paid, but they never show up to actually teach a class. The buildings are used for other purposes or left abandoned. There are thousands of these ghost schools across the country, leaving kids without education. And where the government is not present to take care of children, others take advantage. We are still in the same city, but at a different place. A madrasa, an Islamic school that feeds and houses the children while teaching them Islam. The latest official statistics counted more than 40,000 religious schools like this across the country. That makes 14% of all schools. They are mostly for boys only. Some parents choose madrasas over government schools for religious reasons. Others, because they are free of charge, offer food and accommodation. But one of the problems, apart from religious teaching, they offer little secular education.
My name is Zakirullah. I have been living and studying here for the past 2 years, and I'm currently memorizing the Holy Quran.
Our teacher wakes us up in the morning for the dawn prayer. After praying, we begin our studies until breakfast. Then we resume studying until 11 a.m., when we take a rest until 1 p.m. After lunch, we continue studying until the afternoon prayer. From that prayer until evening prayer. That's our playtime. After evening prayer, we resume our studies until the night prayer. Then we have dinner and go to bed.
Mohammed has been living and studying in this madrasa for 2 years. He is one of more than 150 students at the school. Mohammed's family finds itself in a good economic situation. They live in a nearby district of Peshawar. Nevertheless, he only sees his family twice a year.
My brother told me to just become an Islamic scholar. My mother also had this wish, as if she had seen in a dream that I would become a hafiz of the Quran. My mother told me to go to the madrasa, to become a hafiz. For as long as I live, I will be in the madrasa.
Mohammed had to dedicate his life to religion to fulfill his mother's dream. In religious thinking, the Hafiz himself, a memorizer of the Quran, and his parents will definitely make it to paradise. Which reason for a madrasa weighs heavier, religion or food and shelter?
There's a misunderstanding in society that these children don't have other job opportunities because they're poor or orphans. This is not true. The reality is that they have a deep love for their religion. Many parents have devoted their children to religious studies, believing that this will lead to a better life in both this world and the hereafter.
To understand parents' school choices better, we asked people on the streets of Peshawar if they would rather send their kids to a madrasa or to a public school, and why.
First of all, government schools are far from our homes and transportation costs are additional. Private schools are expensive, so madrasas become the viable option. We send our children there for 2 reasons: worldly benefits and religious guidance.
Here it is seen that people are increasingly inclined towards religion, due to which they send their children to madrasus. And the second is that the standard of government schools is also not good.
It used to be thought that the madrasas would instill extremism in the minds of children. Now it is no longer so. Religious education broadens the brain, their ideas, and their intellect. Both of my children, daughter and son, are learning Quran memorization.
But what's also part of the truth, many madrasas were and still are foreign financed, for example by Saudi Arabia. It's seen as a soft political tool from the Saudis to gain control in Pakistan. Through madrasas, they want to foster a more conservative version of Islam. The number of madrasas has exploded over the past decades, and experts see that teaching-wise, they follow their own agenda.
And you know the situation of these madrasas. Only a few here and there provide modern education.
Some fear that this outdated and very religious curriculum makes some students in madrasas vulnerable to recruitment to one of so many militant groups in the country. Many high leaders of the Taliban who are now ruling in neighboring Afghanistan have been educated in a Pakistani madrasa. Pakistan's government has been trying to stop radicalism within religious schools to increase the general state of security in the country. But will this work?
Unfortunately, I now see a lot of chaos. I see turmoil.
Dr. Davesh Afridi is a renowned university scholar who has been studying societal development over decades.
I see that the trust deficit between the Pashtuns and the state, the lack of trust and confidence between the public civil society and the state, has grown significantly. And this trust deficit will be exploited by 2 types of extremist forces. One religious and the other a Pashtun nationalist radicalism born out of despair. This will become stronger, posing a threat to the existence of the state.
Terrorism already highly affects Pashtun life in Pakistan. In 2022, most terrorist attacks took place in Pashtun areas, and nearly 70% of the attacks were religiously motivated. Among others, the Pakistani Taliban, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, all had or still have their stake here. A scientific study sees a growing approval for religious extremism in the country. Experts fear that madrasas could strengthen this development. And this might backfire at school kids. Some fighters are opposed to secular education. They even targeted schools, like this school in Peshawar, where close to 150 people died. Most were students. This ongoing insecurity destabilizes the region more, giving kids even less of a chance. We are back in Jalal's village. Against all odds, Mohammed and other villagers are determined to make things better for their kids.
Since 1991, it's been 32 or 34 years, and during this entire period, the government has only given the school a name, but no building.
And because the local government is not showing up in their mountain village to make a change, the villagers decide they will find them in their office. They're heading to the provincial capital, Quetta.
Sharif, how will we go about it?
Let's hope who we are going to meet is available and will give us some time. May she do something about it.
Upon arrival, they are lucky. The Minister of Education is available for a meeting.
We have studied in this tent school, and now our children do too.
It's not built?
We've been told it will be done soon. Come today, come tomorrow, but it never happens.
Around 40 to 50 students study at the school. Students from 3 villages come there.
This is very unfortunate that we have the people, they want to educate their children, but they don't have the facilitation for that. So inshallah, they have given me the application and just talked to the secretary, and inshallah their building will be on ground when the scheme will be started.
The Secretary of the Education Minister is also quick with promises.
This year, God willing, a building will be constructed for the primary school on this land. Work on the building will begin.
Sir, when will the work start?
Not in one day, but it will be done.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations to you too. At least something has happened. The minister has done what we wanted. She said our case will be processed within 1 week. Congratulations again.
Hopes are high that the tent school might be a thing of the past soon. But will the minister really follow up? A special place where the will for change from the people already was successful is the village of Khanozai. It's in a relatively safe region of the Pashtun area. It's estimated that more than 90% of the villagers are literate. We are visiting a girls' high school in the village. We're curious about why education is flourishing over here. Lu Baba attends 9th grade.
My parents sent me to school to get an education. I enjoy it because I will get a job and my parents will be happy. People will say that she got education. They will appreciate it.
We are told Khanozai is home to more than 20 schools. The community does a lot for it. They put pressure on the government, they hold regular meetings in which they discuss education, and they tell us that some people have even donated land for schools to be built.
I like my school because we get education here and learn many other good things. We learn a lot about how to progress in life.
My father is a big supporter of education, and he supports us all. All of my brothers and sisters are getting education.
I want to become an artist. I have the support of my family for that. They wish that I make something out of my life when I grow up, just like my grandmother, Aliya Asma, so that I can do something for the society and the country.
Literacy rates for girls here in Khanozai are even higher than that of boys. And this is unusual. In the whole of Pakistan, girls attend schools far less often than boys.
I am very impressed by the people, their attitude and behavior. One important point I've noted is that they believe education is everything. People here place great importance on it, saying that life is impossible without it. They insist on educating both boys and girls, which is why the literacy rate is so high, around 98%.
But where does this attitude have its roots? It all seems to go back to one village elder who forced authorities to provide his people with proper education infrastructure more than 100 years ago. Allama Abdul Ali Akhwanzadeh. Meet his great-great-grandson, Akhwanzadeh Dur Afshan. At the ruins of the first girls' school of the village, he explains that people still follow his great-great-grandfather's example, as it has shown really positive effects.
Our campaign for education still continues, because, thanks to God, we live in a very peaceful society. If education slips out of our hands, if this happens, our new generation will be illiterate and ignorant. And illiterate people with no awareness, they will destroy the peace in the society. Our people don't compromise on education. And therefore, peace and calmness is something that has to do with education. Here we have peace, and where we have education, it will bring peace with it. It will give people awareness, and it brings people to peace.
One of the reasons why Akhwanzadeh had so much influence, the society in Khanozai is very homogeneous and well organized. People all belong to a certain clan of Pashtuns, they tell us. Places like this garden and house were built by more than one family. But close ties also mean there is social pressure.
In our area, you will never find a house where children don't get education. And those who do not get education, people don't like them.
Generally, it seems a bit better off than Jalal's mountain village and more urban, so political power seems easier to reach. It's hard to use Khanozai as a blueprint for the whole of the Pashtun area. It has a really long tradition of fostering education, so people from Khanozai tend to get better jobs, we are told, and as a result have more power to demand education for their kids too. So it's still a long way to go for other villages who might want to follow Khanozai's example. Villages like Jalal's. He continues to follow his daily life, packing his books for the strenuous walk with the other kids to the tent school. Jalal's wish for change is still very strong.
We sit in the shade while our teacher sits under the sun. Other than that, it's hot when we come to school. Sometimes we collapse, and sometimes our books get damaged. When it rains, we don't go to school. I wish I could study in a beautiful school with concrete rooms, a boundary wall, and a garden. There would be a beautiful, cool fan.
The ministry promised a proper school building. But 5 weeks later, we are informed that, for bureaucratic reasons, the process won't start before next year. The situation up here in the mountains, unchanged for decades, means that for Jalal and other Pashtun kids to be given a good education, there is still a long way to go.